the weather forecast with C3 Production.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and happy you are joining me once again on the weather forecast. I trust you had an amazing day. Tonight, calm with light isolated showers expected in parts of the littoral and the south regions, and temperatures in the northwest, west and Adamawa regions may get as low as 16 to 17 degrees. The center, south and east regions may get as low as 18 to 19 degrees, and the southwest, littoral, north and far north regions would expect temperatures to get as low as between 21 to 22 degrees. Detail will take you over to the far north region, where tonight we may have no chance of precipitation in the entire region, and this experience will progress till morning with temperatures between 22 to 26 degrees. Next, we go over to the littoral region, where we may have heavy precipitation in Douala and Kongsamba tonight, and light showers to dominate the entire littoral by morning with temperatures between 18 to 24 degrees. Lastly, we go on to the south region, where heavy precipitation is expected in Sangmelima this evening, and heavy precipitation in the town of Kribi with light isolated showers in the rest of the towns by morning. It is important that you step out warm and also stay away from swampy areas. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.
The University of Bamenda adopts a smart and outlined strategic plan which will offer quality training, research and development in the university over the next 25 years. 2020-2021 school year is 1 week old, and stakeholders of the different ministries charged with education in the country say the respect of barrier measures against COVID-19 is very commendable so far. Plus sports, the Indomitable Lions resume soccer duty in Holland after the COVID-19 pandemic break. And India friendly against the Samurai of Japan, both teams separated on a 0-0 draw. Good evening and welcome to the 7:30 news. I am Benen Bumagana in Yaoundé.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
We're coming to you live from Studio 5 of the CRTV Production Center in Balatu. The Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, has invited parents to follow up their children at home in order to help them effectively use the 3 modes of learning put in place by her ministry this year. She was speaking after an interministerial committee meeting to evaluate the response against COVID-19, which Prime Minister Joseph John Gute prescribed yesterday. Christian Che Atam reports.
Conducting studies within a context marked by COVID-19 is delicate. That is why, apart from the typical classroom setting, the Ministry of Secondary Education has put in place other modes of learning this year.
First of all, the continuous day, which everybody knows that we have been using from 7:30 to 3:30. After that, you have the shift, the 2-shift system. So you have 3 hours of distance education, 5 hours of face-to-face, altogether making 8 hours. And that helps us to ensure that no hours of learning are reduced.
But for the operation to succeed, the participation of parents is vital.
When you do distance education, somebody must follow you up. That is that the parents will have to follow up their children who will be working at home. The parents will have to make sure that the children have phones, the preferred tool that the children use.
At the level of basic education, the handling of the youngest learners is a major concern.
We have told all those who are taking care of them to look closely and remind them that they have to follow the barrier measures.
Prime Minister Joseph John Gute has called for a rigorous application of barrier measures in schools.
And the new school year is 1 week gone, and reports from the different schools say there has been a strict respect of the barrier measures prescribed by government against COVID-19. Alice Mbe went to some of the schools and brought back this report for the 7:30 News.
At the Monseigneur Zhangzwa Complex Bilingual Secondary School, Olezwa, effective classes are being observed in a calm and serene atmosphere. The principal takes turns into the different classrooms to ensure the strict implementation of the barrier measures and effective learning.
At least 70% to cover the timetable of this week. The measures are respected, but we cry, we educate them, we inform them, and we speak with them. Many children pass 6-7 months at house. It's too difficult for the teachers to begin with the new year. They have to come back and give them the lesson of last year to bring them psychologically.
The same atmosphere prevails at the government bilingual English primary school, Yaoundé 3.
The scheme of work had been planned to start in the month of September. So I asked them to go and start from September instead of starting in October, which is the second month. We provided wash hand buckets. There are some of them whose parents provided them with the hand sanitizers.
Notwithstanding such efforts, some students and pupils still do not adhere to the rules and regulations of the school.
Still talking about 1 week into the new school year, a non-governmental organization, Nascent Solutions, has been training stakeholders in the educational milieu on how to improve the quality of food sold and served in schools in the East region. The training also focused on promoting good hygienic and nutritional practices via good governance. Elizabeth Mbongbone Agbo reports.
In an era marked by the coronavirus, the nutrition of pupils and kids at school remains a major preoccupation to education stakeholders and other partners in the domain in the East region. The American-based non-governmental organization Nascent Solutions, partnering with the poor, has introduced the homegrown feeding methods believed to be practical.
Among the many things that Nascent Solutions is doing to ensure that the literacy and the nutrition of school children gets improved is the provision of daily hot lunch in school for children to be able to eat and remain attentive and to classes.
This method, based on governance, as presented to the local administrative authorities, was lauded by the Secretary General at the East Governor's Office, who presided at the events.
We appreciate this initiative because they help the region to improve the level of education of our young children.
As the kids and pupils get acquainted to eating their snacks from home, it is believed it will go a long way to promote good hygienic and nutritional practices.
School items, anti-COVID kits and a scholarship fund have been donated to students in the Messager subdivision in the Ndonga Mantung division of the Northwest region. The kind gesture of the elite of the locality is aimed at assisting the students during the new academic year holding amid the coronavirus pandemic. Rose Jolenta Afangwe reports.
Received financial prizes ranging from 30,000 to 150,000 francs CFA alongside other school materials and bags. Some of them say the assistance will enable them improve on their performance this academic year.
I've received 75,000 francs for the second prize.
Officials in Messager subdivision say the scholarship, which is in its third phase, has raised the standards of pupils and students in the area.
We drove our hearts with excellence to the Fukaris gentry for this scholarship fund that was again modernized. Last year, whopping 18 million francs to sensitize and mobilize children to go to school.
Anti-COVID-19 materials were distributed to all the schools in the division as part of government's effort to prevent the spread of the pandemic.
The Minister of Employment and Vocational Training has called on stakeholders of the sector to work in synergy with the state in order to find lasting solutions to challenges faced by the sector. Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari was speaking during a workshop in Douala that brought together actors and policymakers in the domain of employment and vocational training. Let's hear more from Sally Nyoki.
The 2018 law governing vocational training in Cameroon presented to the private sector in Douala, according to the Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, Issa Chiroma Bakari, is revolutionary. It contains 55 articles that upgrades employment and vocational training to the level of national priorities, which are very close to the heart of President Paul Biya. The private sector has a role to play.
It was a good thing if Cameroonian companies, whatever they are doing, will create or will participate into the vocational education.
For the president of JICAM, Mr. Celestine Tawamba, vocational training centers cannot function well in the country because of poor organization. Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari called on them to work in a synergy with the state.
I just came here to let us know the kind of problem they are confronted with and for which they don't have a solution.
Through the numerous exposés presented by top officials, the private sector understood President Paul Biya's vision for Cameroonians by 2027, that of ensuring all Cameroonians of working age find decent work which favors effective social dialogue.
Let's get to one of our lead stories now. Training, research and development are the key areas of the strategic development plan of the University of Bamenda for the 2020-2025 period. A seminar to adopt the plan was chaired at the Montfebe Hotel in Yaoundé today by the Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Famdongo. He urged the institution, amongst other things, to improve the working conditions of the staff. Yves Formuso reports.
A futurist plan of the University of Bamenda, the strategic 2021-2025 development plan, hopes to include new certification courses, research and erect edifices to host its predicted student population.
Increase professionalization at the university so that our research also meets the need to develop our nation.
All those who took to the rostrum, including the presiding Minister of Higher Education, saluted the input of the institution. Jacques Famdongo, in the presence of top state officials, asked the university to pay special attention to students' residence, classrooms and laboratories, and the construction plans, and improve working conditions of its staff.
The University of Bamenda will continue to improve, to transform progressively the social, cultural and economic situation of our dear and beloved country.
Created in 2010 by the head of state, the University of Bamenda, with its proper funds and that raised through its development fund, is set to make a difference.
Still in education, the Board of Directors of the University of Yaoundé SUA held its extraordinary working session this Friday in SUA. The meeting was aimed at examining and adopting the new administration, management and stores accounts. Emphasis was also laid on the adjustment of the 2020 running budget, which, due to the coronavirus pandemic, had to be modified as instructed by the head of government, Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute. The board equally examined the degree from the Advanced School of Mass Communication as MAC. All of these with the aim of preparing for the 2020-2021 academic year. Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute has granted audience to the new Belgian ambassador to Cameroon, Eric Jacquemin. Both men exchange on the state of relations between the two countries. Here now is an excerpt of the new Belgian ambassador, Eric Jacquemin, who was speaking shortly after the audience with the Prime Minister.
It's part of what we call the courtesy call when you arrive in a country. Just to remind the very important and long historic relations both of our countries have. Also to remind that Belgium stands with Cameroon towards the different challenges that they are confronted with. Remind also that we have a couple of important investments in Cameroon related with energy, road construction, water, sanitation, cooperation and others, and finally that development cooperation, which is also high and important, goes through international agencies, whether it's UN related or European related.
The president of the Board of Trustees of the ICT University, Professor Victor Mbarika, has opened opportunities for scholarships to enable Cameroonian students further their training. He disclosed information yesterday in an audience accorded him by Prime Minister Joseph John Gutte. Let's now listen to Professor Victor Mbarika after the audience.
Came to announce to the Prime Minister that we will be offering 10 PhD scholarships to Cameroonians, as well as the 10 Masters scholarships worth over $100,000 for the next 10 years for Cameroonians to be trained, training of the trainers, including exchange programs with our U.S. partners. Like I always say this in many of my interviews, my father always says it's not only what you get, you need to give. It's more blessed to give than to receive. So this is partly done by ICT University and the George Mbarika Senior Foundation, and we want to start as early as this year. So we will be training 10 PhDs from all 10 regions of Cameroon, including a balance of men and women in the.
This time, about 5,000 face masks have been donated to staff of the CNPers Hospital here in Yaoundé to enable them better fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The donation from an enterprise known as CFAO was handed over to the hospital officials today during a ceremony with the Japanese ambassador to Cameroon and officials of the Ministry of Public Health. The private sector was a privileged target in the financing strategy of CEMAC integration projects as CEMAC member countries at the Paris Infra-Week International Conference reaffirmed their political will. On some of the meetings and economic deals signed at the conference, here is Caroline Oke-Anoma.
Midway into the Paris Infra-Week International Conference, the CEMAC high-level delegation have been busy with heavyweight economic investors interested on some of the integration projects.
I think it's a very good opportunity that we have seen these projects, this integration project of the CEMAC, the different countries of the CEMAC, the infrastructure projects, and you know that the that I lead is already present in Central Africa, because we are present in the port of Libreville and also in the hydro dam in Nachtigal in Cameroon. So we are already present.
We want to go in these countries to build something together, because in Africa and these countries, everything to build is today.
However, the CEMAC delegation have proposed 2 axes of public-private financing geared towards economic diversification and the development of human capital. Contacts are continuing with the partners to raise maximum amount of resources needed to finance the integration projects in the CEMAC zone.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Let's talk about our fight against COVID-19. Officials of both the Ministries of Basic and Secondary Education say they are satisfied with the way schools respected the barrier measures against the coronavirus pandemic this first week of the 2020-2021 school year. Let's now go over to the Public Health Emergency Center to meet Baldwin Sama, who will be telling us more about this. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Benin Bumagana. I should say it's with a lot of satisfaction that officials of both the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education talk about the first week of the start of the 2020-2021 school year, talking about sanitary measures put in place to limit the spread of the coronavirus in the basic and secondary education milieu in the country. The respect of these measures have been so impressive. On the first week of back to school, the wearing of face mask has been mandatory by both the pupils and the students equally, and they went visiting most of these primary and secondary schools in the 10 different regions of the country, especially here in the central region, and they were quite happy to see into it that physical distancing has been respected, especially through the implementation of two-shift systems. Most pupils, especially most students, have gradually embraced these two-shift system in the secondary education milieu, and most of these students equally make it possible by going to school with hand sanitizers, and washing points equally have been introduced by different secondary schools and primary schools, the access points before they get into these different schools. And they say that they will ensure that these measures continue being respected in these schools, primary and secondary schools, not only in the central region of Cameroon, equally in the 10 different regions of the country. And they are yet to report any particular case of any infection so far, especially on the part of the teachers. They will play a very vital role to limit the spread of the coronavirus. What is key for them so far is the continuation of a sensitization in the different schools to continue reminding the pupils and students of the need to avoid the spread of the virus. Back to you, Benin Bumagana.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Baldwin Sama from Cayman. The Minister of Labour and Social Security says medals are rewards of good work and called on workers to always put in efforts and initiatives in their daily endeavors. Gregoire, when I was speaking today during a ceremony to award medals to meritorious workers at the Yaoundé Conference Center. As we hear in this report by Luma Slim Davies.
The mood at the Yaoundé Conference Center was one of joy and excitement. The medals are in silver, gilt and gold, and the recipients showed gratitude for the honor.
I just feel good. I've been working for 32 years. If today I've been awarded a medal, my daily activities at work, it has not been in vain.
I'm very happy because this medal is so long awaited. Finally, it came today. I've been working for 32 years today at the Yaoundé Conference Center.
For the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Gregoire Wuna, all is well that ends well. Those appointed to higher positions were also on call.
Those are just new challenges. General Manager has given the guidelines, and I think by God's grace and the participation of everybody, I'll try to do all the best to be up to the task.
First, I have to thank God. I'm very happy. I'd worked very hard to come to this place. To this position, I did my best.
The retirees were also acknowledged for meritorious services rendered over the years.
Still talking about awards and prizes. 4 CRTV staff have received prizes for their work. The prizes were handed over to them by the Director General of the Cameroon Radio Television during a ceremony here in Balatou. Shandongo encouraged them and appreciated them for the great work they have been doing. Let's get more from Baldwin Sama.
They received their awards from the hands of CRTV's Director General Charles Ndongo after winning each the African Prize for Excellence in Communication in different categories, while Charles Ebune is made Special Ambassador of the ICT University with headquarters in the United States of America and Ambassador Extraordinary of the East Carolina University Center for ICT Development.
I consider it as an honor and recognition for work done to satisfy our public.
It means that we don't need to travel to the US, we don't need to work to the BBC, we don't need to work in CNN for you to be recognized globally.
Professor Mbarika, President of the Board of Trustees of the ICT University, briefly presented the ICT University and its openings and why the choice of their special ambassador.
We have really seen the work of Mr. Charles Ebune, and we are very proud of him. I'm very, very proud of what the other distinguished honorees today have received.
CRTV's Director General Charles Ndongo congratulated them for using their talents to make the corporation proud while urging them to strive for more to maintain CRTV's leading position in the audiovisual landscape.
Congrats to you guys. Cameroon has organized a diplomatic gala at the International Hotel in Switzerland to present her candidate to the post of Secretary General of the International Civil Defense Organization. Madame Yap Mariatou was presented to diplomats of member countries of the institution by Cameroon's permanent representative to the United Nations office in Geneva, Salomon Ehed. Charles Ebonnet reports.
The Intercontinental Hotel in Geneva, Switzerland, plus 50 heads of diplomatic missions are gathered by the Cameroonian community to explain and present to them the candidacy of Cameroon to the post of Secretary General of the International Civil Defense Organization.
It's a very important organization who is dealing with human catastrophes.
Mariatou Yap, Cameroon's candidature for the post of the Secretary General of the International Civil Defense Organization, currently serves as the Director of Civil Protection at the Ministry of Territorial Administration.
It is in this vein that I'm involved every year in prestigious institutions such as the International War College.
The gathered diplomats from a wide range of countries get a full meaning and sense of the potential of the Cameroonian candidature to become the next Secretary General. If that happens, she will be the first woman to head the institution since its creation.
The Cameroon Telecommunications Regulatory Board has acquired 4 new monitoring mobile stations to monitor frequency allocation by communication operators and the quality of services provided to consumers. The regulatory board organized a campaign recently during which they toured the city of Yaoundé with the mobile vans scanning for irregularities. Raina Tursali reports.
These are the 4 new monitoring mobile stations acquired by the Cameroon Telecommunications Regulatory Board. The objective: monitor the respect for frequency allocation by communication operators and the quality of services provided to consumers.
So just behind me we have a vehicles that is a spectrum monitoring mobile station aiming at ensuring and optimize the use of the spectrum frequencies.
Through a campaign led by the Special Control Unit, the regulator displayed the prowess of its mobile vans by touring the city of Yaoundé and scanning for any irregularities, such as the misuse of frequency allocation and clandestine users.
The objective is to ensure that only authorized players are using the frequencies, and also to make sure that we have a very good quality of services, especially for QoS monitoring and also the assessment of all the frequency bands, especially for broadcasting.
The team made a first stop at the Simalen neighborhood where the results were satisfactory. The campaign on technical control is one of the strategies adopted by the Telecommunications Regulatory Board to ensure that operators ameliorate their services.
Our new organigram has permitted us to create a special control unit to ensure proper technical control. I want to remind the public that our role is to regulate and not to operate.
The regulator is not relenting in its efforts of regulating the telecommunications landscape and ensuring that consumer demands are met.
Now let's look at where you can go to this weekend to enjoy the weekend. And in a weekend cultural agenda, it says it offers you a comedy show tonight, that is this Friday night, organized by Valerie Ndongo and Yaoundé. And tomorrow, Saturday, urban music artist Shura will feature Cathy Price at the release party at Carrefour Billy, still here in Yaoundé. Joy Starter tells you more.
La confiance n'exclut pas la prudence. J'ai cherché très loin le Judas de ma vie.
Bébé Philippe promises you a night to remember this Friday to kickstart the weekend at the Cateos nightclub in Yaoundé. Comedy is not left out this time around. Join Valerie Ndongo tonight in the Mvongbi neighborhood, still in the nation's capital, and laugh out the week's stress.
On transcende. Si tu as faim, tu transcendes.
Rachel Sabez Haman will officially launch her book titled Sublime Tab, L'Art de la Table à l'Africaine as from 3 p.m. She invites you to revisit tradition. Urban music artist Shura is also on this weekend.
Shura Mama, we all know Alidi, right? Well, I have a newborn baby now, which is called Nyamangoro, and it's already on YouTube. Saturday, I'm going to be at Fresh Planet Obili to have me some fun with Katy Prince. Yes, it is a new song and I'm featuring on it. So come together so we can have fun. See me Nyamangoro ish.
Hooray, Sell Weekend.
Kiss, kiss.
Okay, now you know where to go to. Let's talk about sports. Cameroon held Japan to a goalless draw in their first match after the peak of the coronavirus pandemic. The friendly match took place today in the Netherlands. The Indomitable Lions controlled the game but were unlucky to score, while Japan were denied a last-minute goal by goalkeeper Fabrice Ondoa. Daniel Condem has the highlights of today's game.
Meeting for the first time since 2010, the two sides seemed to be under the weight of football drought. Misses and rough cutting edge, but a Nicola Mumingamale header in the first 45 activated their charge, then followed by Japan's Minamino efforts. In the second half, Cameroon had limited chances in goal, but turned up the heat on the Japanese, whose compactness and swift feet stood the test. Making his first senior debut, forward Frank Evina would miss what could have been a winner for Cameroon. That is preceded by a Cameroon foul, in which keeper Fabrice Ondoa made a decisive save, adequate to sanction the Indomitable Lions' third draw against Japan.
And thank you very much for watching the 7:30 news. At 8:30 p.m., meet Arthur Badinoma. I will be back here tomorrow at 7:30 for what is making news in Cameroon around the world. Have a good evening. God bless you.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing